Hey, where are you going? Millie yelled as Draco turned to leave. I need some fresh air. I'll be back in a minute. Draco, Millie sighed. Draco turned to look at her. The cloud shadows swirled around him as did the rain. Do I look like I want to party? You look like someone who shouldn't be alone, she said, her jaw. Draco huffed irritably. You think Pomfrey kept me company in a hospital wing? Well, she didn't. In case you thought otherwise, I was very much alone and happier for it. Happier than I'd be at your stupid party. Go kiss some Hufflepuffs and leave me alone. He turned and walked away, hoping Millie wouldn't follow him. He quickened his steps just in case she decided to hex him instead. He wouldn't put it past her. However, Millie didn't hex him nor follow him, and Draco reached a small courtyard undisturbed. The courtyard was dark and deserted. The other students were still prowling the castle, but it was raining and none of them fancied being outside in the nasty weather. The heavy rain made no difference to Draco. However, a roof over his head meant nothing when he has his own personal cloud stalking his every step. Draco sat on one of the low stone benches and wondered if he'd die of boredom soon. He wouldn't mind reading a book or even studying, but he had already ruined his copy of Advanced Charms this morning and wasn't about to allow the rain to damage the rest of his possessions. The courtyard was cold and gloomy, but he had no wish to return to the hospital wing yet. He ended up practicing conjuring spells. It passed the time, but proved to be frustrating pursuit. His wand didn't obey him as well as it normally did. Simple charms were easy, but when he tried to cast more complicated spells, his magic had a mind of its own. He felt like a child who cried and wished the dark away, and then started in wonder and glowing orbs that were suddenly floating around his head. Impressive conjuration, but not the intended result. A sign of magic gone wild. Draco persisted, and soon enough the courtyard was filled with colorful birds that couldn't fly, waddling mice with short chubby tails, and a flock of buzzing fairies that flew around in panic, unable to glow, and a huge white peacock Draco hadn't even intended to conjure. The peacock at least had been flawless. That's quite a zoo you have there. Draco spun around and dropped a parrot he'd been trying to fix. It screeched as it fell but spread her wings right before it hit the ground. It soared and landed on the roof, then proceeded to throw nasty glares down at Draco. With a wave of his wand, Draco banished birds, mice, and fairies alike. Potter was standing some 2 meters away with his hand in his pockets. He wasn't wearing a cloak. Draco realized that outside of his cylindrical prison it had stopped raining. Party over so soon? Draco asked. Or are you here to drag me there? No, and no. Then Potter must have been checking up on him. Draco wondered how Potter found him, but that had always been one of the Potter's unfailing talents. Draco spread his arms wide. Want to search me for calming draughts? Go on then. Potter smiled somewhat uncertainly. If you like. Draco lowered his arms and scowled. Go back to your party, Potter. I'm busy. I can't. I need a break, actually. Draco was pleased to hear that. I take it party isn't going as well as planned then. You should have seen it coming. They're hexing each other left and right, aren't they? Oh, it's much worse than that. After 5 bottles of fire whiskey, they decided to play Spin the Bottle and Truth or Dare. Potter sighed deeply. It resulted in quite an orgy. Draco snorted as if Millie was there to kiss Ernie. Ugh, Draco shuddered. That must have ended with a fistfight. No, it really didn't. They still snogging. They've been at it for the last half an hour. Draco was speechless. Merlin. And he had told Millie to go kiss Hufflepuffs. He didn't think she'd actually do it. She could have at least picked Justin. He was a muggle born, sure, but he wasn't that bad looking and he was much cleverer than Ernie was. And he was tall, unlike Ernie, who was tiny. Potter was smiling. It occurred to Draco he might have been joking. Who did you kiss? Draco asked. Everyone, at least twice. Draco rolled his eyes. Questioning Potter was useless. He was just trying to convince Draco he had missed out on loads interesting stuff by failing to attend his precious party. Go bore someone else, Potter, or find another courtyard. This one is occupied. Potter shifted his weight and ran a hand through his hair. The tousled black locks stuck out more horridly than they did a second ago. You know, Potter said, hesitating, Hermione has this theory about you and your cloud, and... Yes? Draco prompted impatiently when Potter had stopped talking. If Granger had a theory, it would be stupid to ignore it. Potter kicked the ground with his shoe. She thinks I could help you. But that's a stupid theory, Draco said, disappointed. It is, Potter agreed, but maybe I could try, just in case. Potter looked distinctly uncomfortable. It made Draco uneasy. What on earth did Potter plan to do to him? Draco couldn't see how Potter could help him with Pomfrey, and Flitwick could not, and Pomfrey told him she had contacted some of the country's greatest healers, and they had not thought of a cure yet either. It seems his case was quite unprecedented. Not that no one else had ever been botched, had never botched an atmospheric charm before, but normally they were easily reversed. But if they couldn't do it, then what made Potter think he was so special? Potter's cloak helped you. Draco hastily pushed that thought back into his subconscious. It was a ridiculous notion anyway. Good night's sleep had helped him. Temporarily. To be continued.